What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Together. It's spooky season, and I got this neon film in Under the Radar. It stars Dave Franco and Allison Brie, who are married in real life. This is a real life couple, and they are together on camera. So, the expectation for chemistry between these two is really high. And this does have audio description that's done by a group I've never heard of before, which is kind of a little bit nerve-wracking when you go into a horror film that is also body horror and deals a lot with gore and the film's sort of centric around that. But creative media something is in charge of this media access, I think, creative media access. So it didn't give a narrator or a writer or anything. It got its name in for the audio description ahead of the director and the rest of the cast. And I mean, it's choice. You don't have to put it there. You can put it at the end of the credits. But it was at the beginning, which is weird. So if you would put it at the end, you could have put written by, narrated by, but at least we have a company, because I've seen so many films recently where I'm like, who wrote this? Who's responsible? And I don't even have a place to yell at when it's not good, you know? And I think that's why they don't put their name there, is because they're not proud of their work that they've shit out onto the world. But this is not bad. The narrator feels like a lot, but other than that, for this film, it's Together kind of borders on horror comedy, but it's not full on horror comedy. It just has moments where you might find some levity to it. I wouldn't say it's. I mean, considering horror as a genre, if you don't at least mention horror comedy, everything feels like it's supposed to scare you out of your mind, you know? This is not really that. So, but in terms of like a range of horror comedy, this also isn't like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, where it's like obviously branded horror comedy. So it just has shades of things that might make you laugh more than would make you scream. Lots of things will make you squirm in this film, though. So what is Together? We focus on a couple, Dave Franco and Allison Brie, as they move out to this cabin. Mainly for Allison Brie's work. She's the one who's sort of taking center stage here in terms of her job. And Dave Franco is like a musician who has kind of stepped away, and they're an unmarried couple, but you know, like marriage could be in their future, and they're trying to balance the, you know, whose career takes priority type thing. And it's suggested that for a while that Franco sort of had the upper hand, and now it's Allison's turn, and he's kind of taking the back seat a little bit. They go for a hike one day. At the top of the film, we see there's like a search party for someone, and a dog goes somewhere it shouldn't, and then some stuff happens with the dogs. Does the dog die.com is going to have a weird answer for you on that. So, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like things happening to animals in general, I would say stay away from Together, because it's not just a body horror movie for humans, which is one of the things that we need to talk about. I have a lot of thoughts about Together in this. So basically they contract something, some curse or virus or whatever, and they have this uncontrollable force that is pulling them together quite literally as they start kind of merging. And if they're apart, they kind of start losing their mind. They're losing their mind anyway. I mean, there are scenes where they're like not that far from each other, and Dave Franco starts going clinically insane on camera. So there isn't much to say here other than it's like it's not very long. It's just a relationship horror movie between these two, supposedly about codependency between humans. Uh, so I'm gonna say spoilers at this point, and if you can pick up on the tone of my voice, you can get where I'm headed with Together. So I'm sorry if you liked this movie, but I did not. And I love Allison Brie. I like Dave Franco, but I love Allison Brie. Like back in the day, this is like I hate doing these reviews. Sometimes I had this problem with Ballad of a Small Player because I was like, man, I was so stoked for that. And to see Edward Berger do a third film, like I was like, well, I'm gonna be the one person that's gonna like it. And I tend to like things that Allison Brie does more than everybody else. I do like Dave Franco. It's not that I don't, but Allison Brie was my number one choice for She-Hulk back when they were testing people. I mean, Tatiana did fine with it, but I was really wanted it to go to Allison Brie. I thought, that made sense. Ah, c'est la vie. Who knows? Maybe we'd be on a second season of She-Hulk. Anyway, so so the codependency thing, I think we lose that track, the commentary on codependency when you merge animals, because it's really hard to talk about these animals being codependent. Like there are these two dogs, right? And some stuff happens with them, but we're not given any sort of backstory that these dogs are friends. That's part of the problem, is that nobody's really ever given much backstory here. It's very just sort of like, let's tell you these people are these things and you'll just believe us. So it's not, we don't really get to sit in a moment. I think the Substance did a much better job of selling you on the idea that she had reached this point in her life where she felt old and the world felt she was old all of a sudden too. And, there are certain things and themes, but this film kind of has these two, and they have, I don't know, they go out with like their friends and they have a conversation, and suddenly they're in a cabin in the woods. It's great for horror movies, but I don't feel like we established them well enough as codependent. I think this is a film that could have benefited from holding off the premise until like halfway through the movie instead of building it through the glimpses of these animals, and then also spending a lot of time thinking about this couple that went missing on this hiking trail, and then these guys go missing on the hiking trail. I saw some people on reviews who were like, "Oh, they go hiking and there's a stream and they drink from the stream and that's what happens." I'm like, that's not really what happens in this movie. And those people, I'm not really sure saw together. So I'm concerned that there are people who are putting out reviews of movies that they haven't seen. But um because I definitely heard that from a couple people when this movie released, and they were like, "Oh, they drink from the stream," and I'm like, now that I've seen the movie, what? Uh, so the performances are fine. Alison Brie and Dave Franco do exactly kind of what I expected them to do. But I just don't think we know enough about their relationship, because they spend most of the time just kind of whining at each other about this situation that they're put in rather quickly. And the movie's really short. It's really pretty short. I don't know what the runtime is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was under 90 minutes. It felt like it was a 90-minute movie. So kudos on pacing. If you're like a 2-hour movie, you felt like a 90-minute movie. So I will say kudos on pacing, except for the fact that I needed more character development here. I needed to know more about these people before. I needed to see them more before they were in a cabin. I needed to feel that codependency, because you're playing around with animals and we don't get to hear the animals' thoughts. We don't know if these animals are really codependent. He finds these like rats that are all like tangled together by their tails. Uh, I guess rats live in colonies. I'll take that, but they're not the only animals that are found here that are sort of like merged together. And this has been happening for a while, where couples are getting merged together because they're codependent. And then there's something where one of the teacher where there's this teacher that Allison Brie talks to, who turns out they merged and became this person, and they're trying to tell Allison Brie, don't fight it, because you wouldn't like it if you won't like it if you don't allow the process to complete or whatever. And but they don't really go into that. Like, what happens? Like, if one of these people just broke up with the other and was like, I don't like you anymore, and then just left, what happens to those couples? You know, it's just, you introduce ideas, but I don't think really follow through on them. And so I think it's a great concept, but I just think this is a first draft, and they filmed the first draft and nobody questioned it. And people were like, oh, well, this is cool. Because it's such a cool concept. But the problem is it's at very like surface level. So once you start digging in and asking questions about, well, what about this? What about this? Um, well, what if we did this instead of this? I think you can make the film more interesting. And I don't think anybody ever asked those questions. I don't think this had a second pass. Dave Franco and Allison Brie, who've made films together before, I'm intrigued that they didn't really feel like that they needed to continue to push what together could be further, because we do have some really smart satire on things, and I think this could have been that, but it's very much focused on almost the horror of it, because we have to get to that cabin really fast. We have to get to to show you how all of this happens so that they can start merging, so we can start getting these weird sequences where he's massaging her back and pulling her skin, or they're getting stuck together, or they're horny in a really inappropriate place because they're drawn together. But yeah, but we don't know them before this. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know that this is a change to their life, or how big of a change to their life this is. There's a little bit of a battle of an infight, but because we don't know enough about their careers and their dynamic, and how long this has been going on, this back and forth in their relationship where one person is taking priority over the other in terms of work priority, which seems to be a big deal for them. It's one of the only things we talk about. It's just very much like, we're picking up where we at this exact moment, and you'll get the backstory as we give it to you casually. But I think that the film, when you're in a relationship drama, which is essentially what this is, the more that we know about the characters, the better, because the more that we're invested in their story, the more that we care about them, the more that we understand the dichotomy between the two of them. I think that's what's missing with Together. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I think, especially as a horror film, the body horror elements get really kind of creative and gooey. Um, but this is one of those things where it's like, if this is practical effects, like, I don't know why this wouldn't be shortlisted for best makeup at the Oscars, because there's some stuff here where it's like, well, if you're doing that for real and that's not just all CG, then sure. Like, we nominate, I don't know if it'll get a nomination. It's hard to just say that like the 5 films for best makeup should be horror, but there should always be at least one. And they did shortlist the Voyage of the Demeter that one year, which is just kind of like a straight horror movie. So I mean, this has elements where it's like, yeah, if they actually did that practically, then that's a makeup effect, and that should um, definitely count. There's some things here that are disturbing for sure, visually, in the horror element. So I don't want to say it doesn't work within its genre, but I think it could be stronger. And always at the end of this, since we live, at least I now live in a a fresh or rotten world. It's like thumbs up, thumbs down. Did I like it? Did I not like it? There's no gray area anymore. I have to go somewhere with it. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel rewarded. I didn't feel like I liked it or loved it. I didn't feel the need to nominate it or put it anywhere or throw it out there. I didn't feel the need to turn to the person next to me and say, "Oh my God, have you seen Together?" But at the same time, it's not that far away. It's not where I want to say, "Don't see Together. Run, run, run from this movie." It's like, it's not War of the Worlds. So it lives sort of in this nebulous, like, well, you just missed out. With a couple of tweaks, you might have gotten and with, I don't know, maybe 10 more minutes at the top of the film where they're just like before the cabin, We're seeing them at home. We get kind of an idea of what they're like in their normal life. I think the film would have benefited from that. I think not seeing this film as a horror movie straight up and just seeing this film as a relationship drama where these two people slowly get sucked into this bullshit would have been way more effective than starting off with this um, thing to like get you ready for it, you know? Because we start off with the dog, like that's, and then we go back to Allison Brie and Dave Franco, but it's like they feel like, well, we spent too much time with this beginning sequence and looking for these people and establishing something that really doesn't have a giant like you could have done without it. And because there's another character that this has already happened to, that experience, and he does look things up on the internet. I mean, there are other things. There are ways where they look up for, and he could just see hikers missing or whatever, who stayed at that cabin. We don't need a prelude, but we did need more character work from them. I needed to know more about these guys before they ever got here. So the audio description is fine, from Creative Media Access. I want to say that's what the name of the company was. I think that's it. um, and but the film just struggles. Yeah, some really cool, unexpected gore and some, uh, like when they find the hiker, just sort of the description of the hair, right? Like some of it was pink hair, so obviously the girl had like pink hair and then the guy did not, and like it's just kind of this amalgamation of shit when people merge. Um, I'm sure the final shot visually looked really creepy cool, like that, you know, and I can't imagine there's practicality in it, but maybe there is. I don't know how they would have done that practically, but it's sort of part of the. I mean, we did do a lot of practical effects with The Thing, so John Carpenter's The Thing. Who knows? Who knows how we would have done that final shot? But yeah, Together. I mean, it stars people I love, so this is something I expected to like, and I didn't. But I also don't hate it, and there are films that I've definitely seen this year that are worse. But I'd be lying if I said that this film couldn't have been made better and couldn't have pulled at its own threads a little bit and explored itself. If it wants to have a commentary on being codependent, go for it. Don't just offer me a glimpse at it. Actually go for it and show me what codependency looks like. You have to build that though. You can't just show me codependency in a blip, in a bubble. You have to actually show me that they were codependent before they got to the cabin, before this thing affected them. And I'm not really sure this film is established well enough to be able to pull that off. So Together, I'm going to give it a 5.4 out of 10, and it's rotten. So sad but true. It missed out on the score. But as far as like a gory horror movie this Halloween season, if you just want like straight body horror gore, yeah, there's some weird shit in here. This is like, it's not quite on the level of The Substance, but it's adjacent. Certainly, like there's some stuff here that is, it makes it one of the more gorier films I've seen this year. That's for sure. So, that's what I got. Um, but sorry, uh, sorry, Allison. I still love you. I still really wish we had made a third season of Glow just to finish it out. Like the final season. Like what happened to the final season of Glow, or the fourth season, whatever it was. The final season of Glow. In the middle of filming the final season of Glow, and COVID happened, and we don't even get to use the footage. They didn't even try to make like a Glow movie finale from the foot. It was in the middle of shooting. Like it has footage that nobody has seen. So I don't think we talk about them enough. They were actually shooting. Like they had wrapped at least one full episode that nobody has seen. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.